All right, well, I am here with Rose. Rose, it is awesome to have you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for sharing your home with me again.
Yeah. So we're talking about God stories, and God stories are moments when, whether in the moment or we look back and we realize it only could have been God that intervened. God maybe has touched our life. God has come through in some way, and so I'm happy and looking forward to hearing your story today. So, talk to us about the beginning. Like, where did this all come from? Before you had the God moment, what was life like for you?
So, life for me was not fun. I got married young, and then we had issues, and we had to move out the house, go to stay in a hotel, and then it was a disaster. I was only 23, so he decided to cheat or do some things that weren't healthy. We're all under the same roof in the hotel, so it started there. And then I couldn't cope, so I started the drinking and testing substances because it was a recreational thing.
Okay.
And then because of the pain, it became an everyday life. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't have a coping skill, no one to call, no one to go live with, so I had to take the babies and myself through this. But we were all in the same hotel, but like a floor apart. So I was seeing all these things that were very unhealthy. It was very toxic. So the only thing I could do was just keep going because I was numbing myself because it was too much pain.
Yeah, you said that you were experiencing all this pain. And tell us about like what was going on the inside. Like, how do you describe the thoughts, the feelings, the pain that you'd experience?
It was like I wanted to die, literally. Mm. I wish I could have unseen what I saw there. And I'm watching this situation in front of my face unfold. Mm-hmm. I'm still a newlywed at the time, but it's like, you know what, I tried to I'm in a homeless thing with my children, then I'm trying to deal with this no more marriage and like going, what's going on? And I confronted a lot of people, okay, but it just blew up, it was bad. Yeah. So I decided after the recreational use, it was not going to be recreational anymore.
Okay, so you started to use these drugs to kind of help you to escape or to
not feel, to not deal, because I was homicidal. Sorry, God forgive me, but I was. Because it was in my face all the time. We were in the same space. Like, so, yeah, it was not healthy. And I knew that I couldn't live like that.
Yeah. So what was it like to be a mom and be using drugs, and like, did that impact your kid's life and how you parented?
Yeah, so yes, it did, because we were in a hotel. First of all, that wasn't even. It was unbelievable. So my son was upstairs with his dad at the time. We would share him, and my little girl was with me. But it was just like a lot going on. It was just too much under the same roof, basically. And it's like somebody said. Because I used to just isolate, and I would just go cry and just get really angry. I didn't know what to do with the anger. These feelings were beyond me. Mm. I wasn't even raised like that. I was raised in church. I mean, So that just brought a whole new personality out, and she just couldn't cope.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about, like, did you have some sort of moment where things kind of like you hit rock bottom or came to the end of your rope?
So I did that for a long time, because once I started, it's like I couldn't stop. I thought about it, but it's like, no, it was too easy to get, and suppliers and everything. But I remember that we came to the point after that one time, we were in the hotel for a year. Then I decided to go back and check my Section 8 application. Well, it got approved. So it took me and my babies, and I moved. They were really small. They were like, I think, first grade, really small. They were toddlers still, kind of. And so it began. I took my addiction actually with me to the new house, because now no one's bothering me, because that's what I did. And I was like, that whole year it was very difficult to get through that year in a hotel, trying to figure out how I'm going to feed the babies. No one's helping me. I had to go get help and do all these things, and I did all the stuff, but it was hard. Mm-hmm. So I was married, but I was done. Mm-hmm. It was over.
Yeah. So how long were you married?
But maybe a year.
Maybe a year. Okay.
And then the situation happened to come. We were forced to leave the house we were in because no one paid the rent I thought I was paying. Ended up in a hotel on Market Street. That's how it all started. So that was a bad thing to begin with. But it's like, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to keep my babies safe. But I try to protect them the best I could. But it was just too much around me that I couldn't even deal with. So I had to so I actually kind of embraced things around me.
Yeah.
And some of the people from the area started helping me. Yeah. Getting groceries and take the kids back and forth to school, that kind of stuff.
What is it like to just be completely addicted on drugs, and what does it feel like, and what was your experience? So
it feels like nothing because it was numb, and then my body started craving. Because it starts with the mental thing, then it becomes a physical thing. Yeah. And I couldn't fight it off. I tried. And so the more I couldn't fight it, the more I would use. Yeah. I did this battle with drinking and alcohol and drugs and all this for quite a while. And then I just kept going because I didn't know what else to do with myself. Because those feelings I couldn't suppress, being in the situation, it's in my face every day. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to go to jail because I was thinking things that I shouldn't have thought. Well, my whole life just fell apart like hello. I mean, my life just fell apart literally. But I didn't have a choice. Mm-hmm. It just fell apart because he made a bad choice. Yeah.
So how long were you in active addiction?
About 20 years.
20 years. Wow. And so at what point did you start to see a change or start to make changes?
So I started to make changes because the addiction was really hard. It was a struggle. It was so difficult. Because once we moved, it was really a party for me. Kids would go to school, I'd do things, but I had people kind of I wasn't really having roommates like that, but I knew people who would kind of stay with me, but they were the dealers. They had to go. I made them leave. And so it became like a lot of me with a literal battle of seeing the devil. I mean, literally. We were in a good neighborhood, so I moved down the street from my friend I've had for over 50 years now, but I moved there on purpose with the kids so she could help me. She told me, I'll help you with the kids, so I did that. But she knew I had a problem because she was trying to help me through it, but she was an army. She couldn't, she protected them the best she could.
Yeah. So you said you literally saw the devil, so you saw some spiritual things happening.
Oh, yes.
Where did you start to see God in all of this?
So I saw God, like the first little glimpse I had when we had moved into our apartment after the Section 8 came through. And I'm there in my full-blown addiction, having a good old time, and my out of my mind, insane, crazy, literally. And so I go outside, and I look out the window, I say, what is that? So I'm on the ground level, so I see this Bible flapping in the wind. That should have been something, but I said, okay, I put it on the shelf over there. And then once in a while I go look at it, the words made no sense. I'm like, what is it? Because I was raised in church, so I'm like, what is this? Because my mind was gone. It wasn't even there. I wasn't physical there, but not mental. It was just completely gone.
Yeah. Did you find yourself at any point crying out to God or seeking Him?
Not at that time because I was so numb, but I started feeling like guilty. Like I would cry and then like be out of money and then like what I'm going to do now. It was like this whole cycle that was insane. Because somewhere it started these little glimpses of I don't want to use right now. So I would actually get tired and stop using and then go back and stop and go back and stop. I did that for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell me about how your active recovery began.
My active recovery began because I got sick and tired of the life that we had. So the first house we moved out of because it's time to go because this. But then when I got to the second house, the addiction kind of played there too. So I was like trying to not let the neighbors see, and I was just like trying to be incognito, but I got to take the kids to school, so I got to do things outside and not thinking anyone's paying attention, but they really are. So my whole thing was to just secrets, a lot of secrets and darkness. And so my recovery kind of didn't start right away. It took a long time because I didn't get it at the time. That these little things that were happening, these little moments, the neighbor upstairs, she used to go to church. I didn't go with her. She offered to take me. But I started looking at my children's the pictures of the babies, and it started to really bother me. It bothered me. I'm like, they deserve so much better. And I just kept going for a long time. But I remember in one of those instances, I met this guy. I met him on the streets. And, well, it was an addiction. So, of course, it was fine to me. But he became abusive. And that's what kind of did it. Because I was like, okay, if I'm not coherent, then he's going to kill me probably. So I put it down for a moment. But then he started getting really physically abusive, and then I picked it back up again. After like a while, I'm not picking up. So that was the thing, I couldn't cope. It was too much for me. He was violent. He was very violent, actually. And I didn't want that near my children, so he had to go away. I had to call the police on him. But things that were starting to threaten my safety began to kind of hit me. Like, this isn't good for them. But so I used in the same house I got clean in, but the whole thing of the second house that we got when I was using there, I would wait till they go to school, then do whatever, and then like, that was my whole day. I would sometimes cook, but I couldn't remember anything. So my life skills, I didn't have anymore. They were out the window. Because the addiction was more important than anything at the time. Right. But then I was like, okay, these kids need dinner, so I would do things that I could remember to do, but it got, the longer I stayed in addiction, the worse it got. So my friend down the street had to help me. I would send the kids to her house.
And was she the one that introduced you to recovery programs?
No. What happened was I did a lot of using and drinking and carrying on and on for years. But the people that, I had a person stay with me. She was bringing the people in my house. And I was like, oh no, we can't, no. But I was like, this is not right. I just felt unsafe in my own house. Something just wasn't right. So she had to go. So I had a lot of struggles with enemies back then, because you have to go. I'm trying to like not do that lifestyle right now, but I went back and forth with this lifestyle for a long time because it's a physical thing, a dependent thing, whether I want to or not thing. Right. Okay, I remember sitting in the bathroom, just, God, please, something, and I wasn't ready. Apparently, I wasn't ready for it at the time that it was happening.
Yeah. So talk to me about where you really feel like God began to really intervene in this whole situation, and how that began to make some changes in your own life. Like
that time someone called CPS on me. Yeah, that was, it wasn't nothing, but that kind of said, oh my, I don't want to, I was so secretive, I don't want to be found out. So of course I had to like do this facade thing. And that's how I said something to myself about, this can't go on. So I just remember going through in and out of addiction for a long time and struggling with it and don't want to use it. Then I had a baby dime arms. That didn't do it. It was that abuse. And I made the connection just for a moment. I went to a meeting one time with a guy. He was in recovery supposedly, but I wasn't yet. But that was God trying to tell me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get it.
So talk to me about how finding the Bible and then these steps in recovery that you're beginning to take, and how do you like look back and see how God began to now orchestrate some change and transformation in your life? Because
when I started to look back and I was in the thing, in the active addiction and the struggle, people would be across my path. I didn't recognize why they're from God. You know, my neighbor knew, but she didn't tell me I had a problem until after. She worked for something to do with recovery, something. No, thank you. I don't want to go to a meeting, I told her. You know, but the thing is, you have to be ready, or it's not going to happen. So I just really got sick and tired and done, because when I was in the second home with the children, now I'm around more people. I see the neighbors are ringing my bell, like for whatever reason. I'm like, oh boy. You know, I just struggled with it. But then I took a reprieve from it for on and off for a while. I did that a couple times, and then that physical abuse thing took me right back out to addiction, because I was in physical pain. And I didn't want to go to jail because I defended myself, so I did that instead.
Yeah. So you did what instead?
I turned to drugs and alcohol because I was being abused so bad that I was going to actually end his life. God forgive me for saying that, but I was.
Yeah.
He was violent. He was horrible. But I didn't get it. He had a mental issue I didn't know. Thank God I know now. But you know, I went through a lot with people, and wasn't social, but the people I was kind of around they were all bad.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think was kind of the things that begin to like help you to kind of walk in a new way, in a new direction in your life?
I remember one time in my new place with the kids, the ex-husband, I divorced him. I got custody of the son. And so then he became like this other, I'm like, what? He became like this other person I didn't even recognize. You moved on with that person you're with, now why are you over here bothering me? And when I said something to him, he put his hand through the wall of my house. I was like, you know what, that showed me right there, that anger was not safe. So I said, I can't be like this because I can't protect my children. I mean, so that's kind of how it started for me, because I was trying to protect them from these things that were starting to happen.
Right.
And I remember the one time I had this person there, she was still doing drugs and alcohol, and I told her, I don't want it in my house, you have to take it. She didn't listen, so I put her out, put all her stuff on the curb, and I called the police and had her removed. Okay, because she didn't want to leave, so I made her leave. dealing with that, and she's violent too, was a lot. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. So what happened for me was I started thinking about my children. That's when it all kind of changed. I started seeing all these little things, and it wasn't healthy.
Yeah. So what'd you do?
I said, God, help me somehow. So I remember during the time I was in between walking downtown one day, and I see my friend I hadn't seen in years, right? So we hook up, we reconnect, and she was there when I had my first baby, and I was like, wonder where she is. So all of a sudden, God puts her on my path after, I don't know, years, many, many years, right? So I didn't look so good, by the way. I was still kind of using, and I was sickly. She goes, hey, it's me. I'm like, what? I kind of, okay. So we reconnected. She was in recovery already, like 8 years clean already. And sober, right? So that's kind of how the idea became real. It became real. Now she's in my face. You got a problem? I said, no, I don't. I don't drink like you. She goes, sit down somewhere. And I've never fooled with her because she meant it. So she saved my life because she said something to me. She said, here you go. Fear or faith, pick one. You can't have both. And then the second thing was, get on your knees and God will meet you there. And that's exactly what happened. In that same house I was using it, I got clean in it. Because I got to the knees and I was crying and snotty, just everything. And I said, God, either take me or help me because I can't do this anymore. It's this battle. I was exhausted. My soul, I was broken. There was nothing going on as I was broken, upset, angry, just really volatile inside myself. The thoughts I was having, no one should have. Towards other people though, because they were doing stuff to me. And so then God said, okay. And that's how it kind of started, because my body's starting to go through changes, and she got the physical changes of detoxing. I didn't know at the time, but she goes, okay, so I had her move in with me and the kids. She stayed there for a while. She helped me, but I had to do all the work because I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, you have to do this. You can't go anywhere. So I had to learn how to detox at home safely. She helped me because she did it too. And she had an 8-year-old son at the time. So I mean, she helped me, but the rest is up to me once you help me. So then I was like, okay, so she takes me to Tuesday downtown, a big AA meeting, right? And I'm still like not really clean, but I'm not using either, right? So the detox is not a good thing because my whole body was all confused. I had all this anger, this rage, because now I can't, there's no more numbing it. Now the feelings are coming out. So she takes me to the meeting. I remember there was like 250 people, a lot of people. And I was like, sitting on the edge of the chair going, what? And somebody said something, I don't know what, I can't remember today what it was, but they said something and it registered to that addiction. And then I began the process even stronger. And then from there, I lived by a place that had meetings, so I went to an NA meeting too, because I did everything, so I didn't want to be like leaving stuff out and giving petty permissions, because I wasn't sure, but working. So I was like, okay, so I went to an NA meeting, started that process too, because I had a lot going on. I was trying them out to see which one worked best, basically. So what happened was then I still went to both the meetings, but then I remember what I had about a year and 8 months. Well, I was 18 months, and I go to the meetings, and I'm doing all the secretary, all the commitments, and in walks my husband, Broderick. I didn't know he was going to be my husband, but he walks in the room. He gave me this little crooked smile, and I said something in him. I said something in him. I said something in him that was like different than what I've been feeling, and I was still very new. I didn't have a clue. I was doing steps with a sponsor, but I don't know what they were talking about. I'm just going to do these commitments. I had like 5 at the same time, and so he was helping me with commitments. So I had a card, pick him and his friends up. We'd all do the meetings together. We did that for quite a while, and then I said, "What's going on?" I started having these feelings towards him, like good. I'm like, "Am I like real?" I didn't know if they were real because I didn't know anything about feelings. So it just unfolded from there, and God said, "This is what you're going to do." I let God lead the way. We started just hanging out and going, started to, we were still in recovery because he was newer than me. He was in a men's program, so we had to do all the stuff. And then so we did all that together. From the moment we decided to be a couple, we were inseparable. There was no one without the other. It didn't happen like that. Yes, he did his men's meeting, I did women's meeting, but we were still in our recovery. God was ahead of our life. We made sure of that from day one, because I knew he loved God, and that's what drew me to him. So we did all that, and then we started dating exclusively. I had to explain to him what that meant. So, but something about his personality just opened up. I call it, he melted the ice cube. I was like a thing of ice. I had no emotion. I started to notice it was going away. I was getting softer. I used to get mad at men, like, don't talk to me, because no, I was like all confused. But anyway, that's how it started. So it started with him, and then we began to date exclusively, and we were just always together, or something, you know, 2 different houses, we had pagers then. So it was always, we were always together, communication. And then we got together as a couple, and then we started dating. And then all the good things started to happen. Because I was numb and angry for so long, I didn't know how to do anything else. So this is how God did it. He put Broderick in my life. I prayed, and he sent Broderick as the answer. That's what he did. So I had a lot of women around me, and the people around me, they were kind of like hovering. I'm like, it's okay. But I had to find my way, but God used Broderick to do it. And now that's what I started understanding. God sends people for real that are okay. They're not all like out there like I was. But that was like a pivoting moment for me, because I'm like, wow. So we started to, you know, talk to each other. He was in college. Then I went to college because of him, you know, right? He did a lot of great things. He took me on my first trips on the plane, all these things I never did, I did with him. And then we decided that we got engaged when we were 3 years together in Reno, on his knee. He got stuck, but yeah. It was the whole, we had beautiful moments, beautiful moments. Now, I will say the first couple of years was very rough for both of us, because he came from a different way of life than me, but we still had the connection of recovery. That's what kind of bonded us together. Then we became a couple. I remember one day we met before a meeting. He's telling me how much he's in love with me. I'm like, huh? I'm like, what? So we just kind of put the feelings on the table, and it was really wonderful. And then we got married on June 12th, 99, which means I had almost 5 years clean. He had 4.5. And the 13th of June, I was 5 years. So June 12th was our wedding day. June 13th was my clean day. So I was a married woman on a honeymoon celebrating 5 years. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right? It was a wonderful life. And then he got sick. I remember he started getting sick. He started to look weird. He doesn't look weird one day, and I took him to the hospital. They put him on dialysis really quick. And then he was on dialysis 8 years, and then he got a kidney transplant, and that's what took him from me. So the kidney transplant didn't work. So he spent like 6 months in the hospital, pretty much. I never left his side. I had my luggage in the car. I never left him. So I brought the recovery with me, the church with me. We have meetings, church, all of that. I brought people with me, right? And I said, I'm not leaving him. So they came to us, bringing food, whatever, right? And so the nurses were like, okay. They gave us our own fridge and everything. But it was the whole, even though I was losing him, so the year before he passed, we went on a week cruise. It was a lifetime cruise, and it was wonderful. And then he passed. He passed away October 22nd, 2007. I remember we were in the ICU up there at UCSF, and I'm looking out the window, and I see the sunset. He's in my arms, and I say, it's okay, you can go. I'm like hysterical, of course. I'm just like, my friend goes, you have to let him go or he's not going to go. So I did that, and then he was gone. He was in my arms, and he was gone. And then after that, I just was like, not the same. No, I'm not the same. I'm a widow. But that man that God sent was the blessing that I needed to become who I'm becoming. Okay? It wasn't about him. It was like, that's the way God sent me the gift, is him. Okay? So he passes away, and we do, you know, but I've never been the same. Right? And so what happened in between all this, before he passed away, we had grandbabies. Grandbabies started to be born. My first granddaughter was born I think January the 2nd. He's January 19th. They're the same birthday. And we got to do some wonderful things together before he got really sick. There was times he couldn't get out the bed. I did not leaving him. You know, when I got married to him, it was forever. It was actually a covenant, everything. God was there. He married us. And I'm not going to pick up and use because God took him home. It was very difficult. Let me tell you, it was not easy. Okay? So for the last 18 years, I've just been going, okay, I'm getting better, because, you know, during all this time of active addiction in between, I got a therapist. So the therapist has been helping me through all this. He goes, you just have to sit with it. I've done all the 12 steps, and I still continue to do them, you know. Finding sponsors these days is not an easy task, because, well, it's just not. I'm going to keep going till what God puts them there, whatever that means. But I keep going with what I know. Then I joined Anchor Church. It was wonderful, right? When the pastors came, everything changed. I was at 20 at the time. I turned 20 years, and best thing that ever happened since losing my husband, right? And so this has been building for the last 12 years, and it's a wonderful thing, because God put me to the right people. I was having trouble with churches before because there was always something wrong with them. It was something that wasn't right. There was no God, no. So when this came, God put them there. I said, God, I need a church. I need something. And then the pastors came, and then it began to build like that. And then I have learned from the pastors for so long. So much stuff has transpired in me. I trust them with my life because I do. And the church family's there. So it's like my little community. I call them my soul family. I call you guys my soul family because that's exactly what you are. I could go to you guys and don't have to worry about how I feel, because there was a time I didn't want to tell you guys anything. I was going through stuff like a few years ago, and it was horrible. But if I don't get it out, I can't heal. That's what Rochelle said. Like you have to tell me. So I told her, and I've been telling you guys stuff, and you guys are so amazing because you're very supportive of everything that I do. And I remember when the babies started coming, and you're having babies. I'm like, this is cool. This is so cool. But I know that God had this plan for me the whole time. But one more thing happened. In 2019, Rose got baptized. See? Here we go. I got baptized. The best thing I've ever done.
That's awesome.
I love this because this is my moment where God cleansed all the stuff. It's the moment that God said, you're okay. All the trauma, all the broken, everything is right here. This is proof. He's real. This is proof for me and whoever else needs to know. But I left it in the water because I did.
Yeah. So when you look at your life now and you see God's presence and what He has done, like what do you see as the blessings of where you're at today? Wow,
the blessings don't stop, because I look at these pictures every day and I'm thinking, the time I was in at the time is exactly what I needed. I remember asking Pastor, can you baptize me? And finally it happened. And he's been doing baptisms for a long time, and I keep seeing other people. So now I'm a witness to things. People get to see me come in there.
Yeah.
I'm always ready to help the next person. I'm always ready to have, even when people are upsetting me and they're like really pushing me, I got to remember I'm still a little human, but not everything needs a reaction, is my theory. And so sometimes I just give them the grace and I have to leave people alone. I have to just walk away because it's best for me, okay? Because I'm still learning to become who God wants me to be. I'm still growing. Right. I'm still growing. I call people, I have people pray for me. I know I can call the pastors, and they're gonna pray for me or tell me some good news I need to hear. I love the Sunday thing we do, because I love to set up and just be part of this community that we've been building. I remember when the pastors first got here, they're talking about family and community. Well, it's gone past that, and it's amazing. I see so much work that they do outside of that. Urban Exchange, all these things that has going on in the church that I'm part of. It's not just the church Sunday. There's a lot going on outside those doors, which is amazing, because I already know I'm signing up for everything there is, and the recovery part came in because now other people in my church are in recovery. As God's putting them there, kind of like people are coming through the doors that need to be there. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not afraid of anything. But I fear God if I do the wrong thing, because I already know. I mean, even though I got baptized, I had a few issues since then, but I said this, and then I knew for real it wasn't feeling right. Something was just all wrong. I had to repent, get on my knees, and do some real serious soul searching, but God fixed it, because that's what God does. And I learned that from the pastors, that you don't need to fear anything. Because even though I was in church for a little while, I wasn't saying nothing to anybody. I was just holding all that pain. You can't hold that stuff in and recover, and you got to tell somebody. But I have to trust till I tell. This is my thing. I was holding on to a lot of stuff in recovery, for the last few years, and I'm really grateful, because when I had that coma situation, I got sick, the pastors were there too, but I never feared passing. Never feared dying, never. Because I've been taught you don't fear it, you embrace it, and I've seen a lot of things going on at this church that are just, I can go on and on, but great blessings. More things are being done. More things are being introduced to me, to the church, like that Bible study I do every morning. The pastor made his binder. I love that binder, because it gets me focused and grounded, so I can know who God really is for real. Because when I pray in the morning, I do my little reading and I stay in my meditation. I don't allow no distractions, none of that. And what happens for me is I get a better understanding and I get more calm. My spirit is at peace. The devil has tried it, let me tell you, but no, he's not going to win, because God is the one who leads me. God is the one who lives in me, and Jesus is in my heart, and I know I carry that wherever I go. He's with me too. And I don't run from myself anymore, because when I turn around, I'm there. I don't run from anything. I face it. Because that's what I've been taught to do, and I get more strength being around the church and the pastors and the people at church. The connections, I've made a couple there. But I'm still kind of leery about the meetings I go to because it's a struggle. I still do my meetings. So this Saturday I'll be 32 years clean and sober, which is an amazing blessing for me.
Amazing.
June 13th, I'll be 32 years, and these two guys like to party with me, so it's really awesome. And the Friday before would have been my 27-year wedding anniversary, so I think it goes together, but I have to celebrate it anyway because it's part of who I am. And who I am today is a Christian woman before you. My past does not define me. I am not that same person I was yesterday, last week, or last year, because every day I transform to somebody new. And that's the thing I like about going to church.
Amen. Well, thank you for your story, Rose. So inspiring. I'm so thankful that God has done this work and is continuing to do the work in your life. So we're super proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay.